Now, come on. So that should be it. And here we go on Instagram. Hey there, everybody. So here we are, Music Monday on Refine Productions. I'm very happy to have you on board, everyone. So I'm super excited for tonight because we have a very special guest, an old friend, a guy that I've known for decades, probably. And yeah, I'm really happy to have him on board. His name is Laidback Luke. Everyone knows him. He's been an outstanding DJ, an unbelievable producer, Kung Fu master, and what a lot of people probably don't know, before that, he was actually a graffiti guy, right? So, yeah, let's just wait and see until he joins the chat here, and then I'm going to invite him into the chat. And yeah, so first of all, I want to have a little chat about the mentorship program that we started in November last year. It's been going really well. It's been very intense as well. You guys have been absolutely amazing, and the yeah, it's been going great. So guys, if you have any issues in terms of mindset problems, if you have problems finding your path in terms of production, don't hesitate and get in touch. It doesn't need to be a direct deal with us. We are here to help. So we are always open for helping you guys and getting, yeah, advice. So that's what we're going to do. So Luke is at the same time, he's on my Zoom call already. Luke, have you been logging into our Instagram already?
I have not. No, should I? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. Instagram and
let me get one other tripod.
okay, it's fine with you. That's of course, that's great. Yeah. So yeah, guys. So he is already coming on our Facebook live stream, but he'll be back in a second with us here on Instagram as well. He didn't know that we're going on Instagram as well, which is absolutely fine.
I thought, Eddie, you're gonna stream me from Zoom onto your Instagram.
Well, I wish that would go. Do you know how that works?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, great. So guys, you can hear him already. So you will tell me afterwards then, Luke.
Yeah. Yeah, I should. Yeah, there's an easy way.
100%. That would be an absolute lifesaver.
Okay, so I'm sorry, just give me the Instagram again.
No, it's refine_productions.
Refine.
So guys, you see, this is actually live. So
live.
Guys, you see, this is actually live. So Laidback Luke is watching. Let's get him on board.
Well, let me see if I can. Let me see if I can hook this up properly.
So give us a second, guys. Here he is, Luke. This is amazing. So good to have you, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you. Okay, yeah. So I'm on Zoom, but where does the Zoom go?
Well, the Zoom goes to Facebook and YouTube. So you can decide where you want to go. You can look into Instagram, or you can look into the other camera. Both is fine.
All right, let me hook this up properly. Super live.
Super live.
Here we go.
Perfect. Super, man. So first of all, thank you very much for tuning in and taking the time to join us on Refine Productions. So as you know, we've been in touch a little bit over the last couple of weeks, and I told you a little bit about the stuff that I've been doing with Refine as well. And yeah, so I'm very thankful that you decided to join us and share your passion, share your point of views, and give a little bit of insights about yeah, your career and your life and how you've been coping with everything. And yeah, it's just amazing to have you.
Hey, it's good to be here, and so good after. Well, what was it? Hi, DJ Creeps. After what was it? You got in touch with me again after a good 5 years of not seeing you. And
Yeah.
for me to hear your story, I was blown away by that. So I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, man, I'm very very grateful as well. So I think the last time we saw each other was at Boat's house in Cologne, where you've been playing.
Yeah.
And before that, it has been a long time. But the great thing is, as soon as you bump into each other, it's never, it's always fun. It's always like it's always very very familiar if you bump into a couple of people, you know. So yeah, and I think the stories you have to tell is just very very valuable for everyone who's watching, because you are such a versatile artist. You are an absolute DJ pro in terms when it comes to mixing and skills, and so let's just start with that, because I know that a lot of people don't know actually what you have been doing before you broke through with the commercial success. So when did you start making music? At what age was that?
I was 15 years old and it was 1992. Making music was my first love, actually my first passion. It
Okay.
was only until a few years after I started DJing.
Ah, okay. So and then you also did you start producing right away, or have you been just DJing first and then took it to the next level with in terms of production?
No, no. So in terms of production, thanks to Chocolate Puma who discovered me, 1992 I started just making music on anything that I could get my hands on, because I didn't have equipment. The first PCs were crap. I had a couple of I had like a little keyboard in which I would program my own drums on for like 3 minutes long, and then play my melodies for 3 minutes long, and then play a bass line for 3 minutes long. I tried making music like that at first. And then at a certain point, I got an Atari computer with Cubase on there. And then Chocolate Puma were opening they were known as the Good Men back then. They were supposed to open a second studio, but it never happened. So they had all this equipment, and I was a broke teenager, and they said, "Oh, here, Luke, you can borrow this equipment until we get the studio up and running."
Yeah.
And so I got a really good mixer and a couple of synthesizers, and finally I could make some music. And they coached me through that up until 1995. I kept on handing in demos, and in 1995 I got my record deal through Chocolate Puma. And by the end of 1995, I released my first track. And then it was a good 2 years after that I actually started DJing, or learning to DJ. And so, because of my releases back then, obviously, the releases as well. It was more in a sort of a housey and techno realm. My old records on Touche, for instance, my techno remix of Green Velvet, The Stalker, which went big as well.
Yeah.
Thanks to the release of those records, my name got internationally known. And then when people found out I DJ'd as well, I was just starting, but I DJ'd as well. They were like, "Oh, so we can book you. We can put you on a poster. You can come and play." And this was the most scariest thing for me, because I must have been DJing for 1 year. In 1998, I got my first paid DJ gig, and I think I was on the lineup with Derek May in the
Really?
UK somewhere. Yeah, in the UK, in Reading, in the UK, just outside London. I was scared, man. Was really not that good of a DJ, and I was still learning to properly beat match and everything. And yeah, I got thrown into that.
Well, that's great, but the thing where I was that I did not really know is, like as you said, this Touche label. That's been like the first time I saw your name, and I still have that vinyl, and I wanted to find that record before. I wanted to show it to you that I have it, but I didn't find it. It's been too many records, and I didn't know exactly where it was. But uh, the thing is, after I did some research on a guest that we had, Junior Sanchez, the guest that we had on the show here, I did some research on him, and then all of a sudden your name popped up several times, in projects you guys have been working on. What was it, Mongoloids?
Yeah. I met Junior in the late 90s as well, and we became friends. Actually, I had my first DJ show in the States in 1998 in New York. And yeah, we got to hang out. We became friends, and he had this crew, Mongoloids,
Yeah.
and it was Daft Punk, Basement Jacks, Armand Van Helden, DJ Sneak, and I was making that same type of music, like French disco house back then. I always had two hats on, where I was like more techno and more housey, and then when I got more housey, it was more into like Daft Punk type of sound, which Junior was doing as well. And yeah, so I got sort of like adopted into that at a certain point.
Well, if you just like, for me, it's like the first time that I really dug into it, and I'm just curious, how does it feel if you talk about this now, which has been like 30 years ago? 30 years ago, you've been in New York, DJing at a very, very young age. I mean, all of these guys have been very young. This is the same age as you know? So, but this is already like, I have these records here, these old Strictly Rhythm records as well. So it's, yeah, a lot of history right there. But I said also when I was talking to Junior that although we are 1 to 1 the same age. He's 43, I'm 43. He started at the same age as I did, but we had like a total different kind of evolving, because the musical scenes have been very, very different from Europe, especially also Germany, to the US, because they grew up with that proper US house sampled kind of thing. And here it was, yeah, it was more like trancy techno rave stuff, you know? And the first, I told him the story that the first time I actually heard like proper US house was when I listened to Mike Dunn. And the first record that stuck to my head was an old Mood to Swing record that I went.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was when I started falling in love with proper house music, which was in '94. So that was the day I was sold to that stuff, and I always like been following and collecting, and just it got a really, really big passion. And I mean, probably I mean, for me it was like my parents always said, let him buy the record players, it will blow over in 1-2 years, he's done with that, and look at us now, 30 years later, we're still doing it, you
Yeah,
know
it's crazy. No, so I have a very similar history there, Eddie. Except for my biggest name in house music was MK, actually, with night crawlers, but burning as well. And I always wanted to have that strictly rhythm New York type of sound. And don't forget, I'm one of those Dutch DJs. So I
yeah.
was in the Netherlands, and I grew up in the Netherlands, but no one recognized my sound as being Dutch, because I always wanted to sound American. And you have this love for that type of sound as well. And so when my first track came out, uh, Gaston from Chocolate Puma decided not to put it out on. They had the label Fresh Fruit back
Mhm.
in the day, which was very much Amsterdam-based label, but they wanted me to put it out on my own record label, and we mimicked it as if it was from like Brooklyn, New York, kind of like strictly rhythm in like plastic and looking black and that sort of thing. And so all of my first demos actually sounded a lot like MK.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's absolutely fine if you there's always an artist that you really adore, and that inspires you. And of course, it's absolutely fine that some of it floats into your production style, which is absolutely fine, you know. So I had the same stuff with, of course, the stuff that Harry Choo Choo and Jose Nunez and Murillo did with all that subliminal stuff. That was my that was my blood. You know what I mean? I always wanted to. I think I have every Subliminal and Saunders record, and then if you think about it, then at some point I started to get in touch with that guy, saw him DJing, and then of course I fell even more in love with the music. When you've seen Eric play once, it's done. There's nothing that goes better than that, you know? So it's so much energy, and that's just like an absolute other level. And if you, and then in 2010, I was sitting there, I said, like, hold on a second, you're actually doing a record with that man now, you know? And it wasn't just one record, we did like a ton of records together. Somewhere my name wasn't on there and stuff, but all in all, it was just like, yeah, it just grows. And if you look back on it, what actually happened over these decades, it's amazing. It's quite a journey if you take a look back.
So I think it's interesting because again, I had the same thing where at a certain point, as a someone that's coming up, you have this dream, you
Yeah.
have these people that you look up to, and for some reason you work your way up there, and all of a sudden you're there and you're doing it and you're collaborating with them, and it's like me, I'm just a guy from the Netherlands, from a small town in the Netherlands. You're a guy from Germany. How did you end up, working with all these American legends? And it's kind of like a mindset almost, where it's like if that's in your brain, you'll just do anything to try and reach that at a certain point, huh?
And this is a super important thing, manifesting your dream. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How is that? Has that been part of your path as well? Now, if you look at it on retrospective, or what, did you do stuff like this intentionally?
Yes, but all of it, yes. Manifesting your dream, for sure. I want you to know a little secret about me.
Yes,
I
please.
come from a family of like musicians and people that have always been playing instruments and that sort of thing. I was always the one in the family that wasn't really good at playing the guitar or the piano, and my brother, who's an incredible drummer, he can like drum punk music and hardcore, the skateboard music, hardcore. Like he's like an octopus, and I remember trying to drum with him, and I like he does this naturally,
Yeah.
and I would always get stuck at a certain point. So my family always laughed at me. They were like, "Oh, Luke, oh, it's so sad. He's not like really talented or anything." But at a certain point, I was setting out to become one of the best DJs in the world. I was listening to Bad Boy Bill, Frankie Bones, Jeff Mills, Dave Clark. I was listening to their skills, and I was like, I want that.
Yeah.
What they are doing, I want that. And then I practiced for years. So, obviously I started as a producer, then became a sucky DJ with my first couple of shows. I was so nervous at my first couple of shows that I couldn't even put the needle on the record. So I just dropped it in the middle of the track and then just rewound it for 2 minutes because my hands were shaking too much. And to empower myself, and this is what I always say in my DJ courses as well, to empower myself, I went on practicing and learning everything I could about DJing. And a lot of people would say, and especially my dad would always say, you can't make a profession out of this. What do you think, people will enjoy what you are doing? And I said, Dad, you watch me. I'm going to reach the top of the world. I'm going to become one of the best DJs in the world. And you watch me. And it's literally from there on, obviously you can't like wake up in the morning and be like, oh yeah, maybe I'll practice tomorrow. Or maybe next week I'll try and become the best DJ of the world. No, it's like, then you need to be obsessed and then do whatever it takes to get there. And that's how it's worked for me.
Yeah, and that is something that is absolutely essential because a lot of people say, "Yeah, well, I'm just like too tired today. Let's do it tomorrow, or let's do it the day after." Yeah, or you hear a lot of people say, "Yeah, I should do it at some point as well. Or I want to learn that in the future." And that's simply it's a nice thought, but it's definitely the wrong approach if you want to achieve something.
Yeah.
You really
Well, yeah, exactly. You know what? It's no problem. Like if you're that person that just wants to do it tomorrow or next week, or you're like, oh, my goal, I'm not too serious about it. That's fine. But if you really want to achieve it, and if it's really what you want, then you just gotta go for the full 100% because otherwise, it won't happen.
no, no, exactly. And that's like super important. And that's also the things that I'm trying to bring to the people. That's also the reason why we are doing these Music Mondays here with all sorts of artists, labels, tour managers, like give the people the behind the scenes look, make their life a little bit easier, give them a little bit of that knowledge that we gained over the last decades. And I think that's something absolutely valuable. And there's a lot of people in there in this group that are always, always here every week. And I'm so happy to see these people. They're actually like family now, because there's like this hardcore group of people that are just like super hungry. And I can promise you, like these people, they strive for excellence,
Yeah.
and they're keep doing it, although people around them say, come on, do something else, it won't work, and this is a very bad timing, and this sound, nobody wants to hear that sound. But if they believe in themselves and have that vision in their head that they are going to achieve it, it's very, very likely that they will have success.
Yeah, and just don't give up because I've had it in my career as well about 8 times now where I really wanted to give up, and actually 3 or 4 of those times were rock bottom. Obviously, it's also no secret that I got divorced twice, and I hit a couple of like really big downfalls. Even a big one for me was in 2003, where I had scored in the Netherlands. I had scored a #1 hit with the Dance Valley theme festival,
Mhm.
and Dance Valley Festival theme, and I'd made it. I was #1. Wow, my dream came true.
Yeah,
Whoa, this is it. Everyone started to know me, and I became famous, and I became booked, and it was like, okay, this is great. All right. So for a year long, I didn't do anything. I was just chilling. I was like, oh, I made it. Yeah, I'm the man now.
yeah,
2004 came around. I called my manager. I'm like, what's happening? Like, no one wants a remix of mine. No one wants to hear my music. No one's playing my music. I just put out a new vinyl, and no one was playing it. I was like, what's happening? And my manager said, well, you've just been sitting on your butt this whole year. What do you think would happen?
yeah,
And my mind was blown because I thought, didn't I make it? So all that year long, I just let everything go. And after a year, I was nowhere anymore. And I needed to build all of that back up again.
that's the
Obviously,
That's the hardest part, man. Like and that's not only the hardest part, but it's also the most frustrating part. But what's even more frustrating is if you have achieved where you wanted to go, and then you let it slip, let it be like through a mental thing or through just laziness or being too snobby or poshy, which happens a lot as well. But if you then hit rock bottom and you say, I want that back, but you realize you can't get that back. You're trying everything for years and years and years. And then you just realize, fuck, I can't get back to where I want to be. I want that old thing back. I want to. And then you start thinking about the things in the past that happened to you. And that's like the thing that broke me. Because if you are starting to think in the past, that will you're doomed to fail, because that's what's in the past is in the past. You can't change that. You can't, rewind time. You just have to look forward and say, okay, that is done. I fucked it up. Let's just make a plan, get my mind in the right order, and make a new plan of what I can achieve now and in the future. And that's like, just turn around 180 degrees and walk and run, That's the only thing. And that's something that I realize. And it sounds so easy, right? It sounds so easy, but it's in your, we talked about this before on a phone call. It's like so many things are just in your head that are holding you back from really going the road that you are meant to go.
I can tell you, everyone, and everyone I'm seeing all those Instagram comments come in as well. That's awesome to see, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to us.
100%, yeah.
But yeah, you are your own worst enemy. It's not
Yeah.
the other DJ that has more success. It's not the other person that has more followers. It's not, not even like, you can't even blame your own creativity. It's all you.
It
And
is.
I've said this to a couple of my students, a few that have been going through a very, very deep depression. I know these are talented producers. And I was like, okay, so back up a little bit. I know times are bad right now. But here's a question. If you could decide over your own future, what do you wish upon yourself? Obviously, the best success, talent, music being put out there. And I was like, then just do that. You are worth it. And everyone that's watching right now and everyone that's listening to this, you are worth it. Go for it. Accept that, there will be a couple of struggles, but don't hold yourself back. If this is your dream and you really want it, allow it for yourself. The world is yours.
Absolutely, man. This is I love that, because it's so simple. If you think about it, it's very simple, but this is like the essence of what it is. And I mean, also it's a way of perspective. For a lot of people, they have their goal, and that's also one thing. They have their goal and they say, if I achieve that, I'll be happy. But that's the wrong approach. You
Yeah,
have to
we need to talk about that for sure, because
Yeah, and
yeah,
that is something that is super essential. You are at a point where you say, I still have a long road ahead of me, but when I achieve that goal, I'll be happy. That's the wrong approach. Every little step that you're doing, every day you're putting effort into it, you're getting one little micro step closer to your goal. And you should be happy about that little step. You should really start enjoying your journey. It's a journey, actually, and that's and with that happiness in your heart and in your mind, that is going to be a shortcut to that goal that you once had. And that's also something really important. You will, like you said, there will be failures. You will not make it at some point, but use those. I posted once a quote of myself, that failure is the best lesson that you can get, because it makes you make the things better the next time. You know what I mean? So you're never running against brick wall. It's just like you're going, that road didn't work. Let's take one step back and go the other way. You know?
I always say time spent is never time wasted. So time that you invested, you're
Yeah.
actually never wasting it, but you're gaining experience, something you can share later on. But indeed, I just want to preface what Eddie said. Happiness is not up there with your dream. Furthermore, sometimes, or most of the time, it happens, you reach your dream and you find out, oh, happiness is not there. I have achieved my dream, but I thought it was going to be so much better than what I'm experiencing now. Maybe you'll have all sorts of trouble reaching your goal with, for instance, a couple of my DJ students have reached their goal, but then they got so overwhelmed by all the attention they got and by all the new followers and all the pressure of like the
Yes.
whole the whole world looking at you, the whole world hating you, the whole world judging every track you put out. And sometimes people don't realize this, and it's crazy because, yeah, perfection isn't here. It's like what Eddie said, perfection is like all the way in between, all those little moments, all those little successes. One of my biggest moments still, which brings me absolute joy, and everyone that's listening right now, you have this too, right now. One of the biggest moments is that I'm working on a track and I'm loving the track, and the drop kicks in, or it's like almost finished. I'm finishing up the mastering, and I'm like, oh yeah, oh, this is it. Oh, I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
That that moment, no one can take away from you. No one, no money can't buy that. No fame can buy that. It's just you and your creation, enjoying your creation, and that's it.
Yeah. And then you are super proud of it. Then you send it out to labels and they say, nah, not for us. That's what they're saying all of the time. And that's a lot of things. That's things that happen to most of the people. And that's what's dragging them into the frustration as well. Is there anything is there an advice that you can give for the people that have that emotion when they're finishing the track, but no label wants it?
Two things. Oh, three things.
Yeah, go.
Number one, on to the next. So go ahead and make your next track. It's okay. It's fine. Number two, you had that moment in the studio where it's like you and the track, and like that moment is yours. No one can take that away from you. So there is your piece of happiness that is much better than the happiness here or the happiness in between. That moment, that is precious, so precious. Number three, it reminds me of a letter I saw online, and it was a label from, I think it was Capitol Records. The letter said, I'm not going to reveal the name, but dear, we listen to your music and we don't think it reaches the quality we are looking for. Thank you for sending in your demo, and we wish you all the best in the future. Signed, CEO Capitol Records.
Yeah.
And the letter was written to Bono.
Yeah.
So this person wrote that letter to the singer of U2, saying, "Oh, guys, you're not good enough." And this guy, 40, 50 years later, what do you think he's thinking right now?
Yeah, of course.
And what if Bono from U2 would have said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. My career is over. Nobody wants me." Then history would have looked differently, right? And so I want you to keep that in mind, because you could be the next, big person. And if you give up, you withhold all of that talent to the world. And I don't want you to do that.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So you see in what direction this conversation goes, because this is a heartfelt. These are heartfelt thoughts of us, and these are thoughts that we're sharing because we've been there and we've made it out, and we've made it before, and if we not made it back, we've made it into another route, but we are still here, and still the most important thing, we're doing what we love. And Luke, you are surrounded by the people that you love. And I think that is another super important thing. You have to surround yourself with people that love you. You have to surround yourself with people that support you. That's something really important. People need to support you. And I mean, there's like two different things as well. There might be people that get really frustrated and give up when people tell them, well, you won't make it anyway. The other people, though, might say, you know what? I'll teach you better. And then they give them that extra 10%, to strive for excellence.
But you know what, Eddie? Let's talk about the other side then.
Yeah.
Let's talk about here, okay? You've made it.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you get all of these people that want to be your friend, that are real friendly to you,
Yeah.
see you everywhere, and they're like, "Hey, Eddie, hey, this, that. Oh, so good to see you
The
again."
real friends.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that gets tricky. At a certain point, you reach a level of success, and all these people want to be in touch with you, but the majority of them aren't, the real people you want to keep around.
That's true. That's right. So, um, yeah, you all of a sudden when you get successful, you get so many friends. It's incredible how good friends you get, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Until you're not successful anymore, and then they're all gone, and they won't answer your emails or phone calls, or it's like, hey, what happened?
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, Luke, this is such a good conversation that we're having right now, and it's like you can see it from the comments that people are very motivated with this, and it's very inspiring. And sometimes you need to. I think that's not been done enough. Especially people like us who've been in this business for a long time, uh, had some successes here and there, but this is like the most valuable thing that people can get. You won't get that in a you of course you can get it in a book, but most of the time it's so much value. And for me as well, every time I talk to a person here on the streams, it's such a good lesson for me as well, because I see things out of a very different kind of perspective. And that's, for me, it makes me a very, very happy and satisfied man, you know and yeah. So, um Luke, there have been so many questions rushing in, and I would love you to answer a couple of these questions if possible. And also, I want to say to you guys, we are here right now, so the last 20-25 minutes of the Music Monday starting now. So I just want to say, we have Laidback Luke, and we've been chatting a lot about mindset and things of perspective. And I want you to take the chance to ask your questions below. We already have a couple of questions here, but if something really is bothering you, if there's something that you really is hurting you, that you really need to talk about, get in touch with us. And also, if you're fine with it, ask these questions below, and we'll make sure to answer the question as much as we can. Okay. So, we have a couple of questions that I wanted to say, and this is actually something we already started talking about. We have a question from Bora Bulbul. Any advice to young producers who know their potential and work hard 24/7? I'm open to learn anything.
Yeah. So there is more to breaking through than just to have the talent to make amazing tracks. That's number one. But then you got to work on your network. For instance, networking. So getting in touch with a lot of people from the industry. Networking, I always say, is at least 50% of all your opportunities, because 50% of all your opportunities lies in the hands of someone that will give you that opportunity. So you got to be in touch with people. You got to be in contact with people. You got to meet people. When you meet people, be kind, be nice, be normal. Uh, Figure out a way to create a relationship with these people so you can gain their trust. They know that you have the right intentions. That's a very important thing. A lot of young people forget nowadays how. So, for instance, Eddie, the reason why he's getting all of these people on his shows is because he has a humongous global network of over 2 decades of people he's met, he's been in touch with, he's been a really kind guy to, and myself as well. The amount of people that I know that are in the industry is huge. I know everyone in the dance music world, and this is a result of meeting a lot of people over the years. So that's number one. Obviously, you got to work on your. I hate to say it, but it's true. You got to work on your social media following as well. And obviously, and I feel this too, I just love making music. I love DJing. I do not enjoy per se being on TikTok, but it is important to nowadays. When Eddie and I were young, you had the magazines. You had the magazines to promote your track or have interviews. Nowadays, and it's weird for us, Eddie, because your stance on this might be different, but nowadays, with all the social media and the digital platforms, you need to have a presence there as well. Then, when you have all that set up, and maybe you're putting out your first record, you got to have a publisher. You got to have someone do your PR. You got to get DJ bookings. You need a booking agent. To get your business stuff done, you need a manager. And so, with all of that in place, you can take yourself to a higher level. I've made a video about this, about 7 things you need to actually have to actually break through. Because at a certain point, okay, say you have great tracks, you have a good SoundCloud following or whatever, then what? Why am I not on that festival? Why am I not? Because you don't have a booking agent. Why am I not scoring, record deals and that sort of thing? Because you have no manager. So all of these things are often forgotten.
That's true. And you see, I know a lot of artists that say, I don't need a booking manager. I don't need a manager. The thing is, there's a reason why you have a manager, because the manager has been doing his job probably for a long time. If you get the right manager, that's what I mean. So I've actually started off with my first manager, Kai. So so he has been my first manager, and that was the agency was Sushi 3000. So he was the owner of that, and you know how long I know this guy. He was on my first ever DJ gig at Tribe House in Neuss, which is a small city next to Düsseldorf, but that was just like the shit. That club was the shit in my area here. So I won actually a DJ contest there at the age of 14, 15. And then on the first show, I was just like opening up the club at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was just like an after hour thing, And so I was playing there, and he was actually the first guest. And he just came to the DJ, was, you're playing so cool sound. Can I stay here with you? I said, yeah, man, absolutely fine. And back then he was just a normal guy, He wasn't a manager or a booker or something like that. But then we became really, really good friends. And then he started making parties. Then he started doing management, and then he started making bookings and stuff like that. And then boom, all of a sudden he's been like one of the most sought after people to work with. Everyone wanted to work with that guy, and we are still friends. We don't have the contact that we had back then, but that was 30 years ago, So, and this, to make a long story short, I just wanted to say, if you get a manager that actually has some experiences, and ask people that you probably know that have been in that agency or have worked in that agency or still are in that agency. That's how I've done it. Always do a little bit of research. Like, also, if you want to get, it's always the same. Do research on the people you get in touch with or you want to know. The same with record labels. If you want to make cold contact with a record label, do your research. Find out who the A&R is, what the name is. Do a little bit of research about the music that they've been doing. Perhaps the music that you sent them is just like an absolute different genre, and it probably doesn't fit, or probably they've made different music 2 years ago, but you're still sending the music there, which doesn't fit. You will avoid frustration with that as well. So we had Seamus Haji, Seamus. He started off at Defected, is now back at Defected again. We had him on the chat as well, and he actually said, man, that's like the golden rule. Do a little bit of research. Also Simon from X-Tone said that. Do research, find out who that person is, and most of important, be polite. Make a personalized email. Don't send mass emails out with, hi, this is my new record, and then you just see blind copy and you already know this is not the way you want to do it, and then I can guarantee you that most of the A&Rs will just delete that email if they see a very, like, just a generated email with a lot of recipients in there, very unpersonal email. So that's just what I'm saying. Do research, be polite. And that's also what I can say. Always be nice to people that you want to, don't be like, oh, you're so amazing, and stuff like that, but just like be yourself and be just like a positive, be yourself, be a positive person, be nice to people, be polite and respectful. That's and that's what made me get to the point and know the people that I'm working with today. So that's my 5 minute answer.
Oh, it's a complicated answer, and obviously, all over the internet, you see these very generic answers, but there's so much a deeper type of structure behind it. Therefore, a lot of people are clueless on what to do to really break through.
Yeah. And that's, I was thinking to myself, how is it possible to, because there's, especially since I've been starting to do refine production, because I started refine productions not with the thought just to, I want to get rich or something like that, then I'm definitely in the wrong job, but I actually started to feel like this is something that I can teach the people the way how I have done things from my experiences, so it's not something where you say, well, my way is the shit, my way is the only way, so that is not what I'm saying, but I'm saying, in for example, in the mentorship programs, this is something where I say, the way I have done, worked in my career, worked, and at some point it didn't work, but then, as I said before, that way didn't work. Okay, need to find another way, try a workaround. So, and this is just like something that actually makes you an expert in that field. If you do it for a long period of time, although you have never studied it, or if you've never been to any university or in something like that, sound engineering or something like that, it's all self-taught stuff, but with a lot of hit and miss stuff over a long period of time, and then in the end making it and releasing on the labels you always wanted to release on. So, and there's like something where you can just say, take that piece of advice and give it to the people who want to learn that.
Is it fair to say, let's just rewind back to my youth and what I say my intentions were? My intentions were to get to the top of the world and to become one of the best DJs in the world. I'm sure your intention, Eddie, was like, oh, I love this music. I love to work with these guys. The intention was never, I want to get rich and famous. Okay. Well, you tell
No,
me.
no, 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 not, no,
Yeah.
no, no. My intention wasn't. I was always in it for the love.
Yeah. And me too when I started, but that's the luxury that I had. Was when I started, people weren't making crazy money from DJing or putting out tracks. We just put out vinyls, and it was just because I was loving making this type of music and dancing to it that I got into it. And then even later as well, for instance, for years I never knew what my DJ fee was. I never knew what my remix fee was. I was like, oh, do I want to do this remix? Yes or no? Sounds good to me. Let's do it. That show, that festival, yeah, sounds great. Let's do it. It was never like, oh, how much do I get for it, or that sort of thing. And that helps. That helps with your passion, and especially, so if you want to become rich, you should get into Bitcoin or
Yeah, of course.
um, it when you step into this and you think you want to become rich and famous, then get ready to spend a lot of time trying to make tracks and trying to DJ. And at a certain point, it's like, oh man, I'm DJing a lot, I'm producing a lot. Do I actually love doing this? Because that's where it comes down to.
Yeah, that's true. Um, so let's jump to the next question, because we had some. We still have a lot of questions here on Instagram. Oh my god!
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that's great. So I had a question that somebody asked me. It's RJ account. Okay, that's the name of the guy. Well, I have a question. The thing is that I want to start posting bootlegs on my social media, but I'm not sure about it. Is it a good idea to do it? Should I also take the original artist from the song I made a bootleg of as well on my post, or I just post the bootlegs without taking the artist?
Hey, good question. I do not have much experience with this other than all the bootlegs I used to make. I would just send out to my network of DJs, see if they would play it. But you can always try. I mean, go for it. Just go and hustle. I wouldn't even tag the original artist. Just make sure it says, you know, the title of the track and the artist, and then your bootleg, not remix. Other than that, I would say, have some fun.
I actually remember something. Do you remember I put something on SoundCloud where I did a mashup of I don't know if you recall because you wrote on SoundCloud, Eddie, it's not a bootleg, it's a mashup.
Oh, I did that to you. Wow.
Remember that? Do you remember that?
No, but I'm a very big fan of labeling it right.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
it was a fun communication thing because it was a track that was released on your label on Mixmash, and it was a piano driven by what's his name, something with an A, Averna, I can't recall, but I did a bootleg. Avesta, exactly, with that huge piano part
Yeah,
in there, and I made,
Dachano.
yeah, exactly, and I made a
Mash.
mash up with an Adele vocal, you know.
Nice, nice.
So, and that actually did some real damage. That worked really, really well. So, and then actually you said, Eddie, it's not a bootleg, it's a mashup. And then I wrote back, yeah, well, I added a couple of hi-hats and shakers, so probably it's a mesh leg, you know?
Mash leg. Yeah. I mean, if you've added those, that then you become,
Yeah, that's,
coming
yeah,
into a production realm.
it just popped to my mind. So, what I also wanted to say is if you are releasing bootlegs or you want to put out bootlegs, if you put it out on SoundCloud, it will be gone within an hour. You know, even my tracks get banned from my SoundCloud page.
Wow.
You know, my own tracks, it says Eddie Thonic and James Walsh Into the Sunrise. And then I get a message like 2 days ago, hey, Eddie, sorry, but your track got turned down because you're not the owner of the record. I said, well, thank you very much. And then I wrote them on because this stuff that's getting on my nerves. I know it's bots, yeah, it's automated stuff,
Yeah.
you know, but I get in touch and they said, yeah, we can see it's your name, but still we can't clear it. I said, you know what, fuck off. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. So another thing that Reinhold, a friend, a guy that we're doing also mentorship with, he asked a great question. He would love to know. You probably heard that stuff 1,000 times, but he wants to know the story behind Leave the World Behind. Is that something you want to talk about, or is it something where you rather not talk about?
Oh, that's tricky. I told you I was an open book, huh, Eddie?
Yeah, well, I'm just throwing it out
Yeah.
there, you know. So that's something. So go for it.
Yeah. No, I can't actually really say much about that out in the open.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's known that I got blurred out of that documentary, and that was a big deal. I had to pay a certain amount of money to have my footage be in that documentary, and I refused to pay that money. And I said, "Well, just blur out my face." And so they blurred out my face. And it's there's a lot of political things that I want to guard young talent for as well. It's just like in real life business, but even as in politics, there's a political side in music as well, where it is a lot about money and about contracts and that sort of thing. And sometimes it can get real frustrating and real ugly. And Leave the World Behind was an example of that.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it all started off with you making music together,
Yeah, that's right.
and you've created the track together.
Yes.
Okay. So,
It was an awesome session. I mean, we had a good 4 days in the studio. I used to come to Sweden every year to make music with the guys. It started off with me, Angelo, and I making music, and then the years after, Axel joined in and Ingrosso joined in, and one of those sessions was "Leave the World Behind," where spend a good 4 days in the studio working on this track, and yeah, I'm so proud that's become such a classic as well. And it's interesting because I remember when those tracks came out, and I'm talking about the collabs with Steve Angelo as well. For
B,
instance,
for
huh?
example, B, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah, exactly. B,
Yeah.
no one wanted to play that when it came out
Yeah.
because it was the time of electro house, and electro house was the biggest. And this, in no way, shape, or form, is electro house. But
Yeah.
Steve Angelo said, "Oh, maybe someone like Murillo would play it." And he's just sent it over to Murillo, and indeed he started playing it, and then the track gained some momentum, and it was a good year or a year and a half later that a lot of DJs were playing it, and finally we could start putting it out. And sometimes it really goes organically like that with a track.
Yeah, that's true. And then, of course, what also helped the record big time was that bootleg that who was it? Hardwell did.
Yeah, so this this is that story. So Hardwell made a mashup,
Yeah.
not Peg.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hardwell made a mashup of B versus the Show Me Love Mobin Masters version. Mobin Masters, a DJ and producer from Australia. He had made an awesome cover version of Show Me Love, and Hardwell put the two together, mashing it up, not even adding production. And but this was the golden combination.
Yeah.
This was the combination that would tear every dance floor and festival up, until at a certain point Steve Angelo and I looked at each other and we were like, man, we got to make this a real one. We got to make this a
Yeah.
real.
And then it went on and on and on. That was just like a never ending thing. B was a hit. And then the
Yeah.
Show Me Love version became another hit.
So it's fantastic. And obviously, Eddie, for people from our generation, to have my name tied in now with Show Me Love, which is a track, the original one by the Stonebridge remix,
Exactly.
which I, as a kid, I was in love with. One of the tracks that absolutely shaped my love for house music as well. Now to have my name attached to a classic like that, oh, it's insane.
And that's also something that people don't know. It's actually not the original version of Robin S. Show Me Love broke through. It was the Stonebridge remix that made the record so successful.
That's right.
You know, so that's another thing. That's what most of the people don't know. You
Yeah,
know.
and I do need to give my respects to Stonebridge, because I've known him for ages as well, and he's an incredible guy and legend.
Yeah, he's beautiful. He's always had his hair in the right.
Kind of like you, kind of like me without
Yeah,
without.
well, I mean, yeah, it's at some point you start doing that stuff, you know. So okay, let's just have a quick one because I see we are already at 9 p.m. here. But if you're cool with it, we'll just do a couple of minutes longer if you're fine with it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Um, so let's just go. I mean, this is just like a lot of questions here, but I'll just pick something. Joseph from Sweden asks a question. What are you looking for in search for new artists and talents? What does an artist, I think what he's trying to say is what does an artist need to have to gain your attention?
Yeah, first and foremost, music that is different, but what I can still play in my sets. So nothing really like what's out there. It may be familiar to what's out there, but I am actually looking for things that will stand out and that will really work in my sets. But then we have a next problem, because sometimes I send demos to my A&R, And how the record label works is like they'll invest money in, new talent and promotion and that sort of thing. They often say, "Oh, what?" And I hate this as well, but this is how the industry works nowadays. How many followers does this person have? And if it's too little of a following, then the label doesn't want to invest their money into that, because it has to be a kind of like a one plus one type of relationship. And it took me a little bit to digest that, because it's just so different now. But I can understand why the label would say that.
Yeah. Okay, so you are still what is your plans with your label then? You're still doing a lot of stuff?
Yeah, we release a ton of stuff, and we have a big team now as well. It's about at least six people or eight people working at the label now, and the team has been doing amazing. And we're just, yeah, we do that on a daily still. From day one, we have signed new talent and released tracks. So we're still all about that. Um, Except now we need to be a bit more serious about which talents we sign, because in the past we've known that sometimes you have someone without any following or any real push, and they are not serious. They make like one good track, and then it's like, oh, they're gone. So we need people that are committed as well.
Yeah, that's right. Also, what I've realized, because I've talked to several people from the labels, of course, you always keep connected and just like have a little chat here and there. But I think it's over the last couple of years, it's really difficult for young artists to really get in touch, because they all have this demo drop page. There's no real person that they can get in touch with. It's just like a website where you just have to fill out a form. You never know if the people really listen to it or get back to you and stuff like that. And I totally get it. It's something that can really be frustrating. Is there another way how you would approach this? I mean, for me, I think you're already smiling, so I see that something is in your head already. So you go.
No, it's funny because I've been putting out techno tracks now under my alias Dark Channel.
Mm.
And I remember just getting in touch with my old techno colleagues, because I have techno roots, and I was reaching out to them. I was sending them my demos, maybe they want to put it out or whatnot. And the response I got was, "Oh, it sounds good, but it's not for us." I was like, "Man, this is the same. This is the same message that my A&R gives new talent." I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to do this. So I decided to start putting my own techno tracks out myself, because then I can be my own A&R. I have control. So I've been putting them out myself, and I can absolutely recommend this for new talent as well. Is figure out how to get your tracks on Spotify and whatnot, and just go and promote yourself, put it out yourself. Then you start building that following, and then at a certain point, by the amount of plays you have, by the amount of promotion you've done, but the amount of responsibility you have now to promote your own tracks, to go to places, to log into places, to promote your name out there. Now all of a sudden you've become a serious person that's involved in promoting their own music, and now you are interesting for a record label.
Now you're talking about self-releasing. So I'm just curious, because I started self-releasing as well, but just releasing the stuff that's a heartfelt project of mine. That was a heartfelt project. Sorry, I was just like, but this is actually stuff where I was thinking about. I told you, that I'm doing a lot of stuff in the cinematic and the sync world. That is something that I want to. That's something that I want to do next to my electronic music. That's my side hustle that I want to make my main hustle, because that's something that I absolutely love. I have the feeling when I do this kind of stuff, a track is done within one day. And I have that feeling that I had 30 years ago when I started making that kind of stuff. And that's what I've been missing big time, And so I said, yeah, so what the hell I'm going to do with these records? I don't have, I thought I was well connected in the music industry. think again. If you are going into another genre and into another music genre, you realize that you don't know anyone. And that's what I've been through the last 1.5 years. So I totally understand everyone who is trying to get their music out there. I have sent out music to so many people. We don't accept unsolicited music. Number one. Number two, not getting a reply at all. Number three, not good enough. Or this is not for us. Okay, so and then you start thinking, you start doubting yourself, you start doubting your music. Is it good enough? Is it something that I should do, or should I just go back and do the other stuff again? But then I said to myself, well, Eddie, you're going down that road now. Otherwise, you're fucked. So go for it, full in. And then I started meditating and manifesting, and it just started to work on the way I was thinking, like we talked about at the beginning, because that is something that worked for me, and that is something that I want to teach the people as well. You know, so by controlling your thoughts, you can achieve so much more. But we've been there. So I started to create all that stuff. I started to evolve my skills, get the libraries that I needed to get into. So libraries means like contact libraries and the right sounds. You always have to have the right sounds if you want to go into a certain niche and establish there. You have to have the possibility to reach that level of sound. Okay, and that was a very expensive road I had to take. You know, but then I said to myself, that was at the end of 2019, I want to sign and work together with Silo. Silo is a trailer agency in LA, and they are doing like really, really amazing stuff. So, and a friend of mine is actually in that agency. So what I have done, I said to myself, okay, if I don't have the network, I need to find people who have that network or are one step further than I am. That's what I'm preaching to everyone. Yeah. If you want to get somewhere where you say, well, I don't know anyone. I tried so many things. Get outside the box. Think outside the box. Reach out to people that you probably might know, that are a little bit further than you, that already made a release somewhere, that might know a person. And, you know, and all of a sudden you see things are, you know, the roots are growing, and then you feel you're getting networked, and all of a sudden you feel, oh man, this is amazing. And then in the end, I got in touch with that guy who's in that agency. He became, not only that I signed a deal now with Silo last year, I also became a very good friend with that guy who's in that agency now. So we talk nearly every day, and that is something that is amazing. And that's something that it's absolutely genre unspecific. This is something that I can just tell every one of you out there, go think outside the box. If your route that you've been going is probably a route that is so narrow, and there are like millions of other ways that you can go, and just try, take a step back, make a mind map. Exactly. Make a fucking mind map. You know, there's a nice software. It's called Simple Mind Lite, that helped me just like get my ideas down on paper and visualize things. And then if you think about these little pieces of things that you can do, this, you put your goal into the middle, and then you go and make like little trees and stuff that could lead somewhere in a way to that point. And then you realize, right, I could try that. You know what I mean?
That's incredible. Well, congratulations on that, and once again, you've figured it out. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I've made the first step. Let's do it like that. I haven't landed a trailer queue yet, but I'm so 100% sure that I will.
But then again, you could have given up at least 2, 3, 4 times already, right?
100%. I was actually getting very, very frustrated and in a very, very bad mood if I wouldn't have had the right people around me. You need to have the people around you that always kick you in the balls and say, Eddie, get up, do it again. Do it again. You know, so that's what you, but most of the time I've been that person myself that wakes up in the morning and kicks yourself into the balls, you know? That's what you need. And that's like the toughest thing if you have to do it all by yourself, but it's doable, you know? So Luke, you see, we could go on for hours and hours, but I feel that I think this talk has been absolutely wonderful. It's been uh yeah, great to have you on the show. Is there anything you would like to add? Is there any advice you want to give out to the people? Because I've been talking the last 5 minutes, and I'm sorry about that.
Oh no, I think we went full circle here with, I think the conclusion of today is that, you should not give up, and you can always take a step back. And what was it you said? You said something really important where it's like, what was the advice you had with Seamus Haji as well?
Ah, yeah, okay, yeah. Just do your research.
Do your research. Yeah.
Do your research on the labels and the people you want to get in touch with. Find out if they are really trustworthy. If they are also like, you need to find out, because there's a lot of dickheads out there.
Hmm.
You know, there's a lot of people out there that don't want your best.
Yeah.
So, and these people will suck your motivation out of you. You know, and we all, Luke, you had those kind of people. I had those kind of people. We met those people, and we try to get rid of these as fast as possible, because not only you can get in touch with people that might not bring you where you want to be, but you might get in touch with people that just want your money and they just want to suck you empty. You know, and that's a very, very bad thing, and that is something you need to avoid.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm just going to take over a little bit. Thank you, everyone over there on the Instagram as well. Last thing I want to say is that I believe you can do it, and I want you to do it. I want you to be successful, because you, the viewers, you are the next generation. So what will we do without you? So do not give up. Go for it. And while you're doing it, be happy that you are.
100%. Thank you. I couldn't have said it better. I love that. So, Luke, thank you so much for taking the time, spreading your wisdom and the knowledge. It's been nothing but a breeze to have you on the show. Everyone, we're sending you a lot of positive vibes. I think we gave you a lot of energy. Thank you. Enjoy your day, your night. See you next week, and lots of love from Luke and Eddie. Bye-bye, guys. Take care.